All right, everybody, good evening. Welcome to the Economic Development Committee meeting for Wednesday, June 27th, 2018. I'm calling the meeting to order. We do have a quorum present. First item for, I guess, action on the agenda is approval of the meeting minutes from May 23rd, 2018. Is there a motion?
Move approval.
Okay, all in favor of approving the meeting minutes?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The meeting minutes are approved. Okay, tonight we have 6 items for consideration. The first 2 are entrepreneurship grant requests, and the other 4 are storefront modernization projects. The first one is the Aerospace Careers Network resource. Staff, do we have, I'm sorry, Alderman Nguyen.
First up is Rosalind Couch for Aerospace Careers. You want to get it
Good evening. How are you?
I am fine. How are you?
Very well. Just tell us who you are and tell us a little bit about your proposed business and your application.
Sure. I did submit the application. Business is Aerospace Careers Network Resource, which I'm trying to launch. It is, in a nutshell, being a resource to parents and their students pursuing aerospace and aviation industry careers. And there's some levels of services. My background is administrative. I worked for the Boeing company for 10 years, and my son is a FAA certified licensed pilot. He accomplished this in high school over the summer leading into his junior year. So he's the only pilot at a ETHS. Wow. And that happened in August of 2015. And so what my goal is to bring, to do conferences, workshops, mentoring, for parents, because they need to know that the industry has great careers and they need to be informed. I want to do, so the conferences, the workshops, the mentoring sessions, the consulting to educate parents and students. The other one is story sharing and speaker presentations to share our story, what was accomplished with me raising my son and him becoming a pilot. The other one is to bring aviation STEM programs, learning, training, education for grades 3 through 12, and then workforce development programs for adults 18 to 25. And this would be in the Evanston, Skokie area, the suburban area. With my relationships working at Boeing, I've done tons of research in the industry. The aerospace industry needs the talent. My emphasis is aviation talent pipeline development. So that's getting students into applying STEM to aerospace and aviation. So Boeing does a current market outlook, and it's 20 years ahead, and so there's a great demand for many types of careers. There's a well-known pilot shortage. We don't have enough engineers in this country. There's tons and tons of careers that can be applied to aerospace and aviation. And so STEM is key. We don't have enough students going into the STEM fields. President Obama talked about this in his January 2012 State of the Union address. So we're behind the 8 ball as a country in STEM fields. We have students that come from other countries here, and they get it. They get into our colleges and our universities, not knocking that. But we need the talent that's homegrown for a lot of reasons. It has to do with security, other reasons, but there's great careers in the aerospace industry, and you can apply STEM to the industry, and the industry needs the talent. Okay. And so I'm inspired to start this business because of my passion that I found out that I had with my son's accomplishments, you know, getting hooked on aviation at age 9 and becoming a licensed certified pilot. And he's at a really great time, and any other young person that would want to go into the aerospace and aviation industry, it's a great area to go into, and there is a great demand to fuel the talent.
Okay. Do we have questions? I did have just a couple, maybe just clarifications. It sounds like your son's going to be participating in it with you. Is that correct?
He is, so what I want to do is to build a flight simulation lab as part of the training. He is in a position where he could teach students the principles of flight and some other things. There's other curriculum that he could probably teach. One of the other really great things that I've discovered and I've handed off to educators at Evanston Township High School is there's an opportunity for free aviation STEM curriculum for the pathways of pilot, aerospace engineer, and unmanned aerial systems, which is drones. That curriculum can be taught at Evanston Township High School. The resources are being provided by AAPA, which is Aircraft Owners and Pilots Association. It's a first-of-its-kind program that was launched this year, and the deadline has passed for Evanston Township to be able to grab this curriculum. But there are 70 high schools in the United States that will be rolling out these programs or curriculum that's free, paid for by the AAPA Foundation. So in that way, you get the curriculum in the high schools. It's free from 9th through 12th grade. Okay, so you're fueling the talent pipeline. You're getting students interested and ready so that they can look at career pathways for pilot, for unmanned aerial systems or drones, and for aerospace engineers. And the careers are great. If you, for example, there are students in Washington State who have been hired by the Boeing company, and they are sitting in new employee orientation meetings, and they do not have a 4-year degree. They don't necessarily have a 2-year degree. So they graduate from high school. They may have a part-time job at Home Depot or any other place, or Target. And what they do is they get into skills centers. Boeing has partnerships and technical affiliations in the state of Washington. And these students graduate from these programs, and they're hired by Boeing, and they're sitting in new employee orientation meetings that might take maybe a week. And they're doing aerospace manufacturing. They're riveting, they're assembling. There's all types of careers. There's fabrication, and they're helping to build airplanes. And so the other thing that they can do, they don't have a college degree. They go into they have a career path. They can go back to school on Boeing's dime. They don't have a 4-year degree. They don't maybe not even have a 2. But they get skilled apprenticeships, and they get training. Maybe you might want to call it vocational education, but the demand for the workforce is of paramount importance to Boeing and other aerospace companies and, supplier companies. They need the talent, and so they have to tap into high school talent. And that's what they're doing. They're pouring money into STEM to apply it to aviation and aerospace because it helps to get them educated and trained so that they can become the future aerospace workforce.
Okay. It looks like to me the simulator, it's portable, right? So you can take it from place to place. So that's the idea, is you're going to take it to the different locations?
Yes, it could be. I've investigated some sites where it can be done. Ideally, I would love to have a dedicated standalone simulation lab, but you can do it with the proper equipment, and you can take it. But it's introducing students to powered flight. It's also air traffic controlling. So you want to teach the kids and get them interested and spark their interest, and then they move along. Let's say, for example, the curriculum that I just spoke of is adopted by Evanston Township High School. I have a meeting in August with Dr. Campbell, who's very interested in it. So let's say you get that aboard. So you're getting kids in the pipeline, you're educating them. You're offering them opportunities and options. There's a lot of students, unfortunately, that won't go to college for a lot of different reasons. So we have to be concerned about those students and them having those opportunities. Maybe once they are exposed to a career, just like the students I told you that are at Boeing, they can go back to school and they can get their degrees and they still have a great career and they make really great money. And Boeing has a Learning Together program, and so they will pay for their employees to go back to school and to, you know.
All right, and so it sounds like it's not a certification program. It's more like a consulting kind of opportunity from where you're going to be making your money. Is that?
Well, yes, I'll be consulting, but also I'd like to, in the future, have a nonprofit arm of it, because there's other things that I want to do. I'd like to have a summer flying program that would be attached to students in high school learning from the program the curriculum that I just talked about. So that's one thing. Also having a high school internship at some point where you take Evanston Township High School and you have a partnership with a company like Boeing or somebody that's in the aerospace industry, so that that student can go off in the summer and do an internship that's real world in high school, not in college, but in high school. I know that that has been done. I think that that's something that could be done.
Okay.
So.
She answered. Closer.
Right here?
You got it.
Okay.
But get a little closer to it.
You were saying that there were money for this, I said grants or so forth that the high school could get for these programs?
So what I was speaking of is there is a AAPA High School Initiative.
Oh, no, wait a minute.
Okay.
Tell me what that means.
I'm going to,
Yeah.
okay, it's Aircraft Owners and Pilots Association. They have a high school initiative. You can go to aopa.org. And so what they're doing is they have launched a first of its kind program where they will put curriculum in any U.S. high school in the United States for free through their foundation. And so the high school has to sign up for it. They have tested the curriculum out with teachers across the country. They're introducing the ninth grade module to schools that want to participate across the country. And so they will deploy that curriculum. They will teach kids in those 3 pathways: pilot, aerospace engineer, and unmanned aerial systems or drone operations. And so that is free curriculum. So the deadline for implementing it this fall has passed. It was April 19th, and I didn't really find out about this, but I want Evanston Township High School students to have the curriculum where the teachers are teaching it. It's STEM related. And so the foundation is generously agreed to pay for the curriculum. The only thing that the teacher has to do is to go to a symposium. I think there's one in November. I do know of one this year. I believe it's in Kentucky. And so if they are adopting this curriculum, the teacher goes to the symposium to, absolutely learn a little bit more about it. But all the materials to teach are free, everything, the lesson plans, everything.
When's the next time?
It is, you would have to look at the 2019-2020 school year because the deadline for actually applying was April 19th.
Right.
I did not know that, but I did introduce this to Dr. Marcus Campbell, and I'm having a meeting with him. He's asked me to come and have a meeting with him in August to talk about this because it's a great opportunity.
So the next time is 2019?
Yes, I believe so. I don't know what the date is, but any school can sign up, in advance, I believe, for 2019, 2020. I believe it can be done.
Yeah.
I think there's great interest. It goes along with career and technical education opportunities for students. And so it's a great opportunity for our high school. The other thing is there is a math teacher who was a faculty sponsor when my son launched the aviation club at the high school in 2015, and she said, I would like to see a dedicated aviation wing at Evanston Township High School. Evanston Township High School has 7 STEM labs, as best I know. That's what I was told. So why not take one or two of those STEM labs, you can convert it into a flight simulation lab. There's other things that you can do. And it would definitely, I think, put our high school on the map. There are dedicated aviation high schools around the country, but the aerospace industry is really, there's a crisis, you know, and I've talked to people that are on the Aerospace Industries Association workforce development teams. I have relationships with people still at Boeing who are in HR and who are in the other areas of the company. And so I know that this is a very real concern, and it's a great industry to go into. It needs to be more diverse. There's a lot of jobs, and it's STEM related, and you can have great careers, not just those three, but there's other things that you can do. So I want to educate parents and their students. You have to educate the parents so that they know they're exposed, just like I was.
Okay.
So.
Alderman Braithwaite?
I'd just like to call the question if there are no other
Well,
questions.
there are a couple
Are
more.
there lights? Okay.
Yeah, I'm
I'll
not
wait.
sure which one of you was first. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, this one isn't. Okay, well, thank you for bringing.
There's a little button in the middle, the little flat bar. There you go, right there.
There we go. Okay.
Yeah.
This is just a really ambitious and interesting, creative project. Sounds like you have a lot of experience in this area, and it's really sounds like you've thought about it from a lot of different angles. I just had a couple of questions about how the different aspects are related. So this idea of getting the curriculum into ETHS, that seems just challenging in and of itself, just in any high school getting a new curriculum added. So if you are unable to do that, or it is delayed, how would that affect your consulting or your ability to kind of work with folks, work with kids, and generate revenue?
I could still talk to students in, beginning in third grade. I've been invited to do a talk and a presentation at a summer camp. So it's introducing and exposing students to what can be done, starting with the basics. The curriculum is free, and I mean, it's like kind of like a gold mine. I mean, certainly I have to have the talks with Evanston Township High School. I mean, the director of curriculum instruction has this information. It was sent to him by two people, and Dr. Campbell was one of them. Of course, I can't assume that it's an automatic shoo-in, but I believe that the case can be made to promote curriculum that's in the STEM fields that we need, and that offers some opportunity for careers. It's another option. So if that doesn't happen, I will still be advocating and being an aviation ambassador, and I still will be talking to students and parents to help build the talent pipeline. I know that it can be done. I know it's being done other places, but it's not being done in our city, in our community, and we need it. There's a lot of things I know because I worked at the world's largest aerospace company, which is Boeing, which is soon to be 102 years old. So I've done a lot of research. I have good relationships, and I'm going to utilize those relationships to give the information that's needed. So I still think I can do the consulting, the conferences and the workshops and the mentoring, because you have to get the students interested. It won't go away or not be null and void because the curriculum cannot be put into Evanston Township High School, but I just think it's a win-win situation.
So what I hear you saying, it's just a facet. You think
It's a
a great
facet.
opportunity, but it doesn't. But the kids can still progress, get interested. There are
Sure.
other opportunities for them
Yes.
through
Well, if you have
corporations,
camps,
other kinds of things.
camps, so spring break, winter break, holiday break camp, summer camps to teach aviation STEM principles of flight, all of the other things, space basics, all of the things that you would learn, actually that my son learned in this program called Tuskegee Next. So you can teach kids how to apply and learn things about flight. So if they want to, you can teach them those things. You can teach them about aerospace and avionics. You get an instructor, you can do that. And you can look at air traffic controlling. There's tons of great careers that, there's the suppliers to the aerospace and the aviation industry. At the airports, airport operations, there's many things that can be done. You could be a physician. You could work for the FAA. There's tons of things that can be done.
Okay.
That's what I would say.
Ms. Burns,
No, no question.
you said, okay.
I actually had.
I'm sorry. Oh, I apologize.
Sorry. So it sounds like then the core of it is the consulting, but also the flight the
Simulation.
time on the simulation. And
Yes.
it's like, I think it's amazingly kind of low price for that. I'm surprised by the cost of the software and also the instruction.
Well, the instruction, I would need to hire instructions. I mean, I'm sure that my son could do something, but you can actually get a teacher who can learn the curriculum and teach it after school. It can be after school, weekends, and it can be summers, summer break, spring break. I know, in this community, we have all kinds of camps, through the Parks and Recreation. So you have to build it slowly, but it needs to be built. And I think I know it can be done. But I want our community to have this as a resource. I was born and raised in Evanston. My parents came here in the 1950s, so I'm a product of Evanston. I went to the public schools, I went to the high school. And my kids went there too, and my grandkids. And so I'm vested in this community, and I'm really excited about what happened with my son, and I want other kids to have the opportunity, because there's great careers that it could be very life-changing. You're pulling kids out of poverty. You're giving them not just a job, a career.
Right.
And the industry needs the talent. We need, the scientists, the technologists, the engineers, the mathematicians. We're behind the 8 ball. The statistics show that when you look at other countries and where they are in the STEM fields, and we need to gain that ground for a lot of reasons.
I mean, again, I think it's really admirable and interesting. My expertise is kind of in developing learning programs, so just trying to understand, what would be your focus for the first year? The consulting, or having summer camps, or having after school?
I would say I can consult, because I can share what I know, because I would be a great resource. And then a flight lab can be structured, and a program can be put in place. Start kids, it could be after school, depends on the site, where they're beginning to get introduced to aviation and aerospace. So that can be done. It's learning over, you could do a program, October to December, school year, and then you go into spring and do February to May or June, and you continue those programs, and you build interest, and you make it fun. There's a lot of different activities that can be done. There's people that can come in to instruct and to really expose students to what can be done in aerospace and aviation.
Right.
And then you mentor them, you coach them, you connect them to other partnering organizations that I have access to.
Yeah, I mean, the
Yes.
concept seems phenomenal. Just trying to understand, because it does take time to develop programs, so are you
Sure.
thinking, you would start out kind of small and then plan for next year for these programs, or?
Sure, yeah, I would definitely start out small. It's going to have to be in different phases, and of course, I appreciate the fact that I'm before you, and I have applied for the Entrepreneurship Support Grant. That's a start, but it's my responsibility, as I know, to look for other funding sources and investors, and I believe that there are out there and that they would support this. I will tell you this, when I worked at Boeing, there was a woman who's doing some phenomenal things in the city of Chicago, and she didn't have Boeing sponsorship, and she needed it. She waited for 8 years. She approached them. They said, go back, come back when you have a little bit more meat in your bones. Maybe they weren't ready for her. But I was instrumental, actually, in helping this person. I said, I feel like I need to help you, but I'm not sure how to do it. And what I did was I began to talk about her work in the aerospace industry, what she was doing. I approached people at Boeing, and I got the ear of someone in, it's now called Global Engagement, but it was Global Corporate Citizenship. It's a philanthropic arm of Boeing, and they give grants. So I was able to connect her, get a meeting with someone that was key, came into the meeting with her, introduced her, and she sold herself. She got a grant from Boeing the first year for $50,000. The second year, which is last year, she got a grant for $75,000. So she got that coveted partnership with Boeing, which is key because they're the world's biggest aerospace company. They've been around for over 100 years, and they're great. They're not perfect, but they're great.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Ms. Burns?
Quick question. You mentioned the link between lower income kids and a tool as a means of getting out of poverty, and I just wonder how you think that can be accommodated given the cost of the services you're suggesting. I'm not sure that low-income families or kids who are in poverty, who are below, in that basic income, can afford the $30 an hour fee for your consulting or for other things. So I'm not sure that they're really the bulk of your clientele, and so it just seems like that might not really be the case here.
well, Evanston is a diverse community, and it's diverse financially, too. So there are families that might be able to afford that, and then of course, there may be those that cannot. I think that there is a way that I can tailor and look at those needs. I want to have a nonprofit attached later, so that when you have a nonprofit, you can research and get grants to offer funding for students to attend the camps and get the education. And so that is one way. I do realize, having grown up in this community, there are pockets of students and families who would not be able to afford it. But I'm going to have conferences and workshops. There may be some things that I do free, just for the exposure, which I think you have to do that to get your name out there and to, spread the news about what you're doing and why. So I still think it can be done. I mean, I understand what you're saying. So I have to have a balance between making the decision, perhaps not to charge one family versus
The reason I
the other.
ask is, right, because it's an entrepreneurship grant. It's not
Yes.
a not-for-profit grant.
I understand.
And so, so it just seems, so there's that connection, right, between you have to make a profit and who you're actually tailoring this program to.
Yes.
So, thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
I think you mentioned, did you have a meeting with Dr. Campbell scheduled?
It's
sometime
scheduled in August.
in August.
It
Okay.
is. He does have great interest in this, and I think that there's something to it. So if he's interested, I mean, that's a good thing to
Yeah.
explore it.
Because and you certainly have a lot of passion for this, and it's great, and I can certainly see the very strong value in it. What I wonder, back to that point, this particular, like this entrepreneurship grant, it's for businesses that are going to be charging and making money. So, the idea would be we would want you to make money and be very successful and hire employees and things like that.
Sure.
But I guess kind of what I'm hearing is more that you're seeing that there's this need in the community, but it's more of a like an educational kind of basis as opposed to, you making a profit, which is very noble and certainly laudable. But I guess what I'm wondering a little bit is that maybe if you had that meeting with Dr. Campbell, that might help you kind of formulate the model a little more clearly, because it sounds like your primary target is likely to be the kids that can't afford it and most need it, at least as far as trying to really reach out and broaden that that
It's-
impact.
It's for anyone. it's for anyone. There are people in this community that could afford the
Oh,
camps.
no, yeah, I get that. I
type of
totally
thing.
get that.
And so it's going to be a mixed bag because we have a diverse community.
Okay.
So,
Yeah. Listen, it's okay for you to say this. You're going to make a profit, right?
of course I do.
That's what you're there for. You're going to make a profit.
Yes, of course
And
I
if you
do.
could help some low-income kids with your profit, that's what you're going to do. That's what I'm hearing you say.
Yeah,
right?
it's any
Thank you
kid.
for
They don't have
summarizing
to.
that. 'Cause I said thank you for summarizing. I
Yeah.
think
Yeah,
folks
it's
are
not
getting
just
lost
low-income
in
kids, it's any
passion and-
kid. If I had
Right.
a.
And what
yeah.
you're saying also is, as far as low-income kids are concerned, and I see it in this community, that they probably couldn't even pick up sponsors for those low-income kids because they do it all over this community.
Yes, they do.
You know,
And they do it in other communities. It can be
sometimes I call
done.
it guilt money, but anyway, they pick it up,
Yes.
and you're gonna make a profit with that.
Yes.
That's it, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Of course.
And with that clarification, now can I call the question,
Well,
Chairman?
so yeah,
Is there
any,
anyone else? I'm sorry.
No, that's all right. Okay, so what we do is this committee will make a recommendation to the council, then you have to come back to the whole city council, and they vote on allocating the money.
Okay.
So all those in favor of recommending to the council?
Aye.
All right. Any opposed?
Nay.
Okay. So,
Something wrong with the air down there?
no,
Right.
yeah, so let's keep going.
Thank
All right,
you.
so thank you very much. And so good luck. And so the staff will kind of talk to you about, so it'll move to the council with a recommendation.
Okay.
And you'll come back to the city council. I'm not sure of the date, but they'll get you hooked up with that. Okay?
So thanks to all of you for actually being willing to take my application and look at it and think that it's viable and invite me here to talk about it. I really
Absolutely.
appreciate that.
Yeah,
from
it sounds
all of
like a
you.
wonderful
you.
idea.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Okay, the next item is application for entrepreneurship grant from Hair Science.
Could you
Good.
come straighten out the podium, please? Thank you.
Okay.
Just a point of clarification, I'm pretty sure that anything approved tonight will go on for the 9th for City Council, just so that.
July 9th?
Yes.
Okay. Good evening.
Good evening.
Okay, tell us who you are and tell us a little bit about your application.
I am Annie Britt, a resident of Evanston. I'm born and raised. I am a hairstylist. I've been licensed since 1999. I attended Pivot Point. Unfortunately, I didn't do well enough in school to do the program they used to offer it at the high school. Junior and senior year, you could do the cosmetology program and leave high school with a license. 2014, I opened Hair Science, and we did well on Dempster and Dodge, 1235. We relocated to 707A Howard Street, and this is where I applied for the grant. The space has been a salon for 20 plus years, and it needs some newer equipment. Let's see, which would be helpful. The salon is important to me. I did the Sunshine Enterprise where I wanted to do a t-shirt business. And after I learned everything that I learned, I was like, well, maybe I should focus on the business that I have now, which led me to relocating and upgrading. I have dreams, plans of opening a school in Evanston. I think Evanston could use a cosmetology program because there are a lot of people who don't want to go to college. I, for one, knew I didn't want to go to college. I knew I wanted to be self-employed and do something that I enjoyed doing. So it started with hair school, and I recently finished Truman College's cosmetology educator program, so I'm waiting for my license in the mail. And I want this salon to be the start of that ball where eventually I can open a school where cosmetology students could be close, where they're not being bused to Truman or some other place, and they can attend school. And if I don't acquire that property, maybe I can go into a place like Family Focus or something like that and offer my program.
Okay. Any questions from the committee? Okay. All right, so this application is a little more like, typical for what we see, so I guess not as many questions. So thank you for the application. All those in favor of recommending to the council?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, same thing, the 9th, July 9th, and this, if you have any questions about that process, the staff will help you out.
Okay.
Okay, thank you very much.
everybody.
All right, next up, we have the 4 storefront modernization project proposals. Ms. Plant, could you introduce those for us?
We do have 4 storefront modernization applications before you this evening. The first of them is Ort Resale at 915 Chicago Avenue, which was held at the May meeting because we were missing a bid and because the folks from Ort were unable to make the meeting. Ms. Statland is here this evening from Ort to answer any questions that you may have about the application. The additional bid has been provided. The scope of work remains the same. It is just to replace the canvas awning, basically the same as what's there now, but not ripped. It's been a while since it's been seen some love. So the idea is to just replace the canvas portion of that awning to make it look a bit nicer.
Okay, thank you. I'll step up. And we appreciate you coming back. We understood somebody had let us know that I think you had your fundraiser that night at the last meeting, so that's certainly understandable. We do have all the materials. Do we have any questions from the committee?
No.
Alderman Nguyen?
Yeah, I have a question. I'm Alderman Nguyen. I'm Alderman of the ward there. I know there were some questions potentially about why is the awning covering the entire facade of the building rather than having it be more of a regular-sized awning? And I think the staff told us something about the building not being in good shape underneath. Is that correct? Right.
Hi, how are you?
Pardon me,
Sure.
So Alderman Nguyen, that was what was reported to us, and just on a site inspection, it's pretty rough shape. I think there's like plywood covering up what might have been glass or something in the past. So, some old signage. Yeah.
Is it weather tight? Is it acceptable?
Oh, we haven't done that kind of inspection.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Do you know the answer to that?
I don't. I'd like to introduce Walter Rodgers. He has been the manager at the store for the past 16 years. I'm actually the director of the Chicago region of Ort America. We're a nonprofit. We raise money for education in schools throughout the world. So the net profits that we receive from the resale shop goes toward the nonprofit. So it's very important for us to use as much of the profit for our cause. So you can go ahead and talk about that.
When the awning comes down, the plywood that is underneath would come down and new plywood would go up, so that when the awning is put back up, it would be all repaired.
Okay. All right. And the plywood covers a window?
That's correct.
Have you thought about replacing the window?
That can be done also.
Just need some extra money.
How long we had another awning that was shaped the same way,
Correct,
So
yes.
how many years has the awning been in?
It's been about 12, 13 years that awning has been up.
And then the
When
one
the awning
before
is
that
up, you
was-
can't see anything up under unless you go and look
No,
completely
I know,
underneath.
yeah.
But there's no problem replacing the window or the plywood or anything of that. Whatever is the most efficient way to do it.
Okay. All right.
Mr. Powell?
Yeah. Do you own the building?
Ort America, Inc. in New York does own the building.
No. Who's this?
Ort,
Oh,
O-R-T, America.
they own the building.
They do
It's a
own the
not-for-profit.
building, yes.
Okay. Would they replace the glass? And, I mean, if we're going to give you the money for this other part, would they?
Well, I think-
Have you talked to them?
We'd have to analyze the best way to repair it. We'd have to analyze what's needed and what would be the most cost efficient. So depending
Right.
on what you recommend and how we go about doing that, we can certainly look into that.
I think that would be good. I know that you just recently opened a new location, was it in Highland Park? Right, and
yes.
I mean, that certainly it's a beautiful location from
It's
your
wonderful.
website.
That one
there.
we're renting, so it's a little bit different, but yes, it is a
Okay.
great location.
Right, yeah, because it certainly would be nice to have this one look as nice as the
Yes.
one in Highland Park.
Yes, definitely.
Mr. Zamazak?
Thank you, Chairman Wilson. So Alderman Nguyen, I mean, from a staff perspective, frankly, we'd rather see the awning removed and the glass restored and maybe a blade sign installed and things like that. I mean, if we want to get into that kind of conversation as it relates to the grant program, and we can do that. I think that's preferred to just replacing the awning, but this was what, the applicant requested. So we could come back in July with an update.
And would that, as far as your organization is concerned, would that be a possibility? I mean, you could certainly change the, what you're requesting. There's not, tons more money, but as far as the actual work, if that's more appealing, fixing that window and then doing a different kind of sign to make it just more appealing. Because it sounds like maybe in another 12 or 13 years, you're going to just kind of need a new awning, but you're still going to have the window issue. And maybe if you do something more permanent, you won't have to, keep reinvesting in that.
It's definitely worth looking into.
Okay.
And getting a pricing on it. This actually hadn't come up in the past,
No.
correct?
No.
We just, when there was a problem with the last awning, we just replaced it with this. Nobody recommended looking into it in any different way before.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, and because we have, I think we have another meeting on July, the Wednesday. So
I
if
think
you're
it would
okay
be
with
more
that.
attractive to ORT to have something more than the, I mean, if that's what can be done, that's what can be done. But I think that it would be more attractive on the building, and especially after I saw your location in Highland Park, I was thinking that this would be a way to raise the profile.
Right. And it might just be better long-term investment, particularly if you own the property. So if
Yeah.
you're,
Is there a recommendation on how we go about the best bid for something like that? Would you be doing it in terms of a bid, or do you recommend certain people to do that, or do we look into that on our own?
probably on your own. I mean, if it's a window and brickwork replace, I have no idea what it is. It sounds like it's a window.
Right.
I've never seen it underneath the.
It's a window.
Yeah.
It's a window. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Hiring an architect might be a good place to start, because they can help you identify scope of work, and we
Right.
can't recommend anybody specific, but
Maybe it'll cost less. I mean, if it's a single pane of glass. Okay, are you guys comfortable with that? If you just hold it till July?
Sure,
Well,
we
can
can look into it. The other question I have is any awning required on that building, or do we not need one? That was unclear for us as well.
my understanding is that it's not specifically required, but any changes that you are making to the facade of the building would need to be reviewed by Design and Project Review Committee, probably at a minimum, and would need the appropriate building permits.
Okay.
But like probably repairing a window probably wouldn't. Yeah, but the
Required.
staff can walk you through that, because again, we're not fully aware
Right.
or skilled in
Right.
those areas. But we do have the team that Ms. Plant and Mr. Zelmazek can kind of put you in touch with on maybe just have somebody come take a look at that, see what might be required, and then just go for that. So, yeah, we could just hold that till July if there's a motion to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, now, okay, I just want to ask a question because this is the second time they've been here. I just need to understand. This is the second time they've been here, right?
Well, the first time
Well,
they
we weren't
couldn't.
able to.
Well,
Yeah, they had a conflict, so we just held it to.
Okay.
It's really the first time we've talked to them.
okay, because I'm wondering if, I would hate to see them come back and we don't support this project because we asked them to do X, Y, Z. What are we voting on?
Well, I think we're suggesting we hold it, but we just want to make sure that you get what's best for your building and what's going to look best from the street.
Right.
So
The only
it's
concern I have is that we have 3 bids on the awning because we were under the impression that we needed to replace the awning. Does
Right.
that mean we'd have to get 3 more bids to replace the window? and go through
probably,
that whole
yeah,
thing?
probably would mean
So,
that.
had we known that that was a possibility, we would have done that already, but we
Okay.
didn't know.
I understand.
Did I miss something? Are we funding
No,
the
I was-
windows, or the windows is a suggestion?
Well, we're just wondering what's the better, best solution for the property. And the conversation has led us to, the possibility that maybe the window might be better for you guys. If you absolutely don't want to do the window, then we can certainly entertain just the awnings.
Oh, no,
but-
we
Can we
certainly
vote?
get-
Can we vote on the awnings tonight, and then they could come back with the windows and vote on that?
No, I would like to, I would.
We can, or you just saying you don't want to do
No,
it?
I'm just
No,
saying, in my
logistics-wise, that
opinion,
wouldn't-
I would like to hold it, because at the last meeting, we learned that the building underneath was boarded up and needed repair.
Mm-hmm.
And And that may have been why the awning was originally put there, to cover it up. And so I mean, it's beyond the size of any other awning there. It covers the entire face of the building.
Okay.
And when I saw that Highland Park, that obviously the organization has the funds to have a very nice location in Highland Park, I don't understand why Evanston can't have as nice a location and as well-maintained a
Well,
building.
no, I understand that.
So that's why I'm...
Okay, so
I'm-
what you're saying, what I'm hearing you saying is this is what you want done. And if they come back and it's reasonable, you're going to vote for it.
Yeah.
Okay,
Right.
that's what I'm trying to get
I mean,
to.
I'm not going to, they have to fulfill...
I understand
Wait,
that, but I just
Jackie,
don't want to
wait,
go through a
Mr.
whole lot
Powell.
of something for nothing.
No,
You
Mr.
know,
Powell,
yes.
I'm sure that the
Heck, that's
staff,
fine.
I'm sure that the staff will make sure that they come back with the adequate information. I'm not going to say definitively I'll vote for anything that comes before us, okay?
Okay.
Question.
Uh,
Can we replace the window at our own expense?
That's what I was getting.
Because
that's my
reality is you
point.
can't replace the window without the awning being taken down because there's no space.
You can always do
Can we replace the
something,
window at our expense
I would imagine,
before the
yeah.
awning is put back up? Which has to be done. That was understood. That had to be done.
Okay.
It can't be done as long as the
But
awning
they're,
is
they're
there.
suggesting if we get the window replaced, if I'm hearing you correctly, that we might not need the awning anymore because it would then it would look better.
It might,
And
it might
so-
look better without the awning.
So
So we're just kind of like, yeah, so we're just suggesting,
I think what I'd like to do is meet with you in the next week or so with our staff, and we can talk about what I think would be good suggestions, given the overall improvement in the entire business district there.
yeah.
Right
But
now,
that makes sense. But you know what's interesting is that what looks good to you might not look good to me.
I understand that.
You know, so that's.
So-
But Hecky,
I
if
don't
the
mean-
building,
okay.
Hecky, if the building underneath it
Okay.
is a mess, I'm not going to support just covering it up.
I understand that.
Okay, so they're,
Okay.
wanna do this.
Okay, well, I'm
Right.
just trying to,
All right.
these aldermen,
So I move to hold this.
All right, so you're comfortable holding till the July, the alderman can kind of meet you out there,
Yeah.
talk about it. And
I'm
again,
happy
we
to
want
meet
you
with
to, the program's there for a purpose, is to, get you the best, street presence possible, and that's what you want. So I think we're all on the same page.
So we have to determine the window replacement versus the awning, or both.
I think what
depending
we're going to
on
do
what
is sit down and talk about what the
Right.
building looks like underneath the awning.
Right. And then if it is a window, we would need to get 3 more
I'm not going to
bids.
commit to anything.
So
right
if you chose to do the window on your own, at your own expense, you wouldn't need to do the bid stuff.
Got it.
You only have to do that for the thing that you're requesting grant money funding for.
Okay.
Yeah, you
That's
can build the whole new building and, come
that's
back
if
to
the
us and
alderman
ask for
let you
one.
build a whole new building.
The city staff will,
This way.
will,
Got it.
Okay.
Just want to make sure I leave understanding
Yeah.
what we're doing.
Okay. All right, so is there a motion to hold until the next meeting?
I move to hold.
Second.
All right,
Thank you.
so then that's all that's required to hold it. All right, thank you very much for the time. Thanks for being here. Okay, Ms. Plant, the next one is 10Q Chicken.
Right. Next up is 10Q Chicken at 816 Church. That proposal is just for new signage. This is the new business that's taking over a space previously occupied by Five Guys. The applicant is here. If you have any questions about the proposed signage, there was some renderings of the front elevation of that building and the proposed signage included in the packet, so.
Okay, why don't you come on up and tell us who you are? And we do have the materials. I like your rendering of the chicken.
I do. So my name is Will Song. I guess my background was about 10 years ago, I actually opened up a little restaurant in Evanston on Church and Dodge called Bop and Grill.
Oh, yeah.
Now you remember them. Yeah, man. Welcome back.
Thank you. You supported me very much. back then. And then, and then
That's
10
right.
years
He's back,
later,
folks.
we're trying to come back and open up a new chicken concept. And we're trying to do a nice LED sign where the existing aluminum frame is. But that aluminum frame is just in really bad shape because when Five Guys Corporate had to take down that sign, they just kind of blasted a lot of random holes into that frame. And so that whole frame needs to be taken down. So that's why I'm here.
Okay.
Can I ask one question?
Yes, you can.
Why 10Q Chicken?
So 10Q is a play on thank you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So
Break it
we're
down.
Thank
very
you.
thankful
Yes, okay. And how is your other Bop and Grill doing on Sheridan Road?
It's good. It's being in the restaurant business like Mr. Powell, it's very challenging, and so we're very fortunate to be in business for almost 10 years,
Yeah.
and just very, very lucky.
Yeah. The first time I ever heard of Yelp was when my
Oh wow!
when my 15-year-old son and all his friends wrote Yelp reviews of your of Bop and Grill.
That's
10 years ago.
That's amazing.
When they
Yeah.
were all sophomores at ETHS.
Yeah,
And they were good reviews.
I
Yeah,
hope so.
Yeah. I didn't know they were like we're putting stuff up on Yelp. I had
Yeah.
no idea what it was, but they were writing reviews for you. Yeah, they loved it.
much.
Except until you moved,
Yeah.
they couldn't drive. So.
All right, well, welcome back to this
Yes.
area.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Any questions?
No, I have something to say.
Yeah, sure.
I never, ever, ever want to hear you again say luck. That's hard work.
Oh, thank you.
Okay.
I appreciate that.
I know.
Yeah.
Okay, no further lights. All those in favor of recommending approval to the council?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, July 9th, right?
Cool.
Very good. If you have any questions, you can talk to us.
I will. Thanks
All
a
right,
lot, guys.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
And on deck,
All right.
1030 Davis?
Next up is 1030 Davis. This is the building located at the corner of Davis and Oak, the former Studio Media recording studio building. Marty Kless was unable to be here tonight, but Mr. Kelch is here. He's a partner in the project, working with Mr. Kless. They are working with a prospective tenant that isn't official and so not being named, but they are basically seeking to add a door around the side of the building, some new storefront glass, and restoration of the existing masonry.
Very good. And tell us who you are and
Well, I'm Dan Kelch, and as she mentioned, I'm Marty's partner. I operate the Lulu's Taco Diablo 5 and Dime, and we did purchase that property on the corner there. Our intent is to put major improvements in that property, not just in the facade, but on the inside. You all know I had some bad experience with the wood truss ceiling, building before. We're going to be sprinklering this building, major renovation on the inside, new skylights, et cetera, et cetera. And so one of the things that we do want to do is this prospective tenant would like to have new glazing and new frames and all this kind of thing in the front. So we're just looking for assistance in getting that part of it done. But we are looking to do major improvements throughout that whole building. We built a big investment next door, and we want to make sure that this property next to us is well tenanted and looks really good. So.
okay. Do we have questions? Alderman Blakely?
It's more a statement, just a big fan of the work that you're doing, and your generosity to the not-for-profit community. The community is also amazing, so I'm looking forward to you delivering a really nice project.
Well,
So I'll definitely be in support.
Okay. One quick question. I understand that you can't announce the tenant yet. Are you comfortable with just making it contingent on getting a tenant signed for the space as far as this particular grant? Is that all right with you?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, our working documents with them are 99 and 9/10% there. So,
Gotcha.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, those can take a few minutes to
Yeah, I mean,
get
it's
the T's
out-of-state.
T's
company,
crossed.
and, yeah,
Right.
they're slower than we'd like them to be, but we've made very strong and steady progress. So.
Okay, very good. Okay, all those in favor of making the recommendation with that suggestion?
Aye.
Yep.
Any opposed? Very good. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
And the last one, but certainly not least, Connections Health.
Last but not least, Connections Health at 1824 Sherman. This is the space sort of in the same building as the Lou Malnati's Pizza along Sherman. Primarily the office portion above it that's going to be occupied by the Connections Health organization. They do have their own street level entryway, and this is the area that they're seeking funding for. They'd like to add an awning and make some improvements to the front steps. Greg Goss is the architect for the project, and he is here today to answer any questions that you've got about that one.
Okay. Good evening. How are you?
Good evening. Connections Health has signed a 10-year lease with Lou Malnati's to occupy that space. They're a consulting therapy group. There's about 8 offices up there, a conference room for different types of mental health and stuff like that. The door, as you see in your packet, the main problem is there's a 9-inch step up from where the sidewalk was to where the existing stoop is now. We're trying to create a little easier way to enter the building. In doing so, we already got a permit for the build-out on this, is we have to carry another stoop out, minimum of 44 inches, to step out as the door opens up and the door opens out. So in doing so, we want to split that 9 inches in half, so we have 2 smaller steps. It'll be a 48-inch platform or porch, if you will. We introduce a planter to the right side of that to call attention that there's a step there, because we are on a sidewalk area. And as you can see, Luminati's has outdoor cafe during the summer, but they take those barriers down during the winter. Awning is straightforward, just identifying the address. The name of the company will be stenciled on the door, and there'll be a little reminder of watch your step.
No.
Second.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Microphone's off. Okay, with the vote, we will recommend approval to the council.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Those are the items that we had up for consideration. I understand that we have a brief communication from Mr. Zelmazak.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to share with you, as we're at kind of the mid-year point, and I'll present this in more detail next month at the next meeting. We're really kind of through our 2018 economic development budget already, believe it or not. We had around $450,000. That will be once the Church and Dodge awning and storefront improvement project is presented next month. So we'll have around $21,000 primarily for the Entrepreneurship Grant Program. So we'll shift our focus to more planning. There's, still like the Convention and Visitors Bureau, downtown Evanston will be coming for their funding, and there'll be funding requests like that. But for the most part, we'll be done with the small funding programs.
Okay. And going forward, I think just if nobody noticed, we will have a July meeting, but we will not be having an August meeting.
There's no
correct?
August meeting.
Okay.
Right. So there's
And
4 meetings
plan our
left in the year.
Summers accordingly.
Correct.
Okay. Any further communications or announcements? Announcements from committee members? Is there a motion to adjourn? All right.
Second.
Thank you very much, everybody.